But first, Arvind Kejriwal clearly means business, and so this morning he announced at a press conference that his government has ordered FIRs to be filed against industrialist Mukesh Ambani, Oil Minister Moily and former Minister Mukesh for allegedly colluding to hike the price of gas to give windfall gains to Reliance. Mr. Moily has hit back, denying the allegations and calling Mr. Kejriwal ignorant. But will Mr. Kejriwal's move to take on the big guns just ahead of the elections work? Shweta Rajpal Kohli has more.
श्री मुरली देवरा के खिलाफ क्रिमिनल केस फाइल किया जा रहा है। श्री वीरप्पा मोइली के खिलाफ एफआईआर दर्ज की जा रही है। श्री वीके सिब्बल जो कि डायरेक्टर जनरल हाइड्रोकार्बन थे उस टाइम, उनके खिलाफ एफआईआर दर्ज की जा रही है। श्री मुकेश अंबानी जी के खिलाफ एफआईआर दर्ज की जा रही है।
The Delhi Chief Minister opening a new front. Kejriwal's main charge is that successive oil ministers colluded to inflate the price of KG Basin gas that led Reliance to make windfall gains.
54,000 करोड़ रुपए प्रति एनम रिलायंस को फायदा होगा और देश को घाटा होगा।
I think I should empathize with his ignorance. It is not the question of Mukesh or Devara, everybody. He should know that there should be, certain system for fixing the prices.
In fact, to Kejriwal's main allegation of collusion and windfall gains, industry experts say pricing has been decided by the cabinet based on a report by the Rangarajan committee. The other charge is that Reliance's partner Nico supplies gas to Bangladesh at a much lower price. But experts say no gas from the KG basin is being exported. Kejriwal claims the gas pricing issue can be taken up by a state government, as it in turn impacts power prices and thus is of concern to Delhiites. However, gas pricing is a central subject. Kejriwal has also alleged that artificial shortages are being created by Reliance to inflate prices. The government is already in arbitration with Reliance on this issue. The matter is also with the Supreme Court that will be hearing a PIL on this next month. This is not the first time that Reliance Industries is facing allegations over the issue of gas pricing. It was at the heart of the fight between the two Ambani brothers, which was settled by the Supreme Court in favor of Mukesh Ambani. The issue has come to light once again, with the cabinet allowing gas prices to be raised starting April.
I don't think any sensible police will even register an FIR on these kind of allegations. Again, they will protest.
Leave the issue of jurisdiction. Political agendas are not to be translated into criminal complaints.
Central government is practically like an accused in this matter. I cannot expect the accused to investigate against itself.
Whether Arvind Kejriwal's surprise move is for political gains is debatable, but the fact is that come April, gas prices will go up. With Rahul Mehra and A. Vaidyanathan, Shweta Rajpal Kohli, NDTV.
Well, it's a bold move from the Delhi Chief Minister. The question is, will it work as a strategy ahead of the Lok Sabha elections? Let me take that first to our commentators tonight, Ashok Malik and Sankarshan Thakur, two veteran journalists. Ashok, let me ask you that first. In a sense, this wasn't a new story because these allegations have been out there. Arvind Kejriwal himself has brought these up in the past. But now he goes ahead and says we're going to file these FIRs. He's really upped the stakes, hasn't he?
There are two things here. One, legally, I'm still not certain a case against two individual ministers will work, because for better or worse, this was a decision taken by the cabinet on the basis of the Rangarajan committee formula and all of that. So it is possible that all of that was compromised, and that may be Mr. Kejriwal's contention. I'm not sure FIRs against just two individual ministers will work. And second, when he says that Reliance is benefiting, frankly, from the high prices, so are ONGC and GAIL. So that will be the Congress's defense. Having said that, Mr. Kejriwal's USP is that of a person fighting against corruption and saying things others don't say. And to his constituency, he will certainly have scored a point today.
Absolutely, Sankarshan. Isn't that the point? That first, whether it was taking Robert Vadra's name and bringing that story out into the public domain, now when he targets and goes after Mukesh Ambani and says that he's filing FIRs against senior ministers and former ministers, it is something that his constituency would lap up.
Well, I've held this for a long time, that Arvind Kejriwal's government is not a governance government, it's an activism government, it's an activist government. And you will see many of these things rolling out in the days to come. And Ashok is absolutely right. To his constituency, his resonance will be huge. I will hesitate to say anything on the legal or the other matters of this issue. But the point is that Mr. Kejriwal, whether he expects these things to have a legal, a pakka legal route or not, his appeal is to a much larger constituency of people who will see him as an anti-corruption activist. And to that extent, I think his strategies, one may or may not agree with it, his strategy is right. He's playing it right. And the others now in the political game have to come up with ripostes or replies that sound or are perceived as credible.
So, as you say, Sankarshan, it's an activist government more than anything else. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I guess the electorate will decide. But Abhishek Singhvi, putting aside the merits of the Reliance issue for a moment, the fact is, as Sankarshan said, that a lot of people will identify with this image of Arvind Kejriwal, the crusader, the guy who has the guts to take on the big industrialists, the big, ministers and former ministers and so on. And that's something that could really resonate politically.
I am not going to speak about the merits of any issue, Nidhi, especially since I am counsel in several matters, and I never speak on matters where I am a counsel. But I want to say 2 or 3 things. One, this is a obvious hangover of agitational politics into governance. Now, it's all very well. In law, I am sure the power of a chief minister to be a FIR filer citizen remains intact. You can be a citizen FIR filer, no problem. But people look to you for structural solutions, for overall solutions. So it works for a day, for a week, for a month. But if you keep on being agitational, pointing out basically how bad the system is, lamenting, pointing out faults, but ultimately end up not delivering, then there is a problem. So the honeymoon can't last for long. Take for example the Lokpal thing. We have for the last few weeks, Nidhi, talked much less about the nitty-gritty of the structure of the Lokpal which is proposed as far as the Delhi government is concerned, and we are discussing much more things like location, stadium, the form of complying or violating Rule 55. So we are having skirmishes before the real issues. Substantive issues are getting sidelined.
Are you saying it's all gimmickry?
Largely demonstrative and feeding an image. The problem is if you live each day to feed an image which you created for yourself, then you start soon chasing only the image and you leave reality. And I think that's the problem with this government in the medium term, leave aside the long run. It may work in the short term. You may get that applause, but ultimately people look for solutions. Solutions come from governance, that comes from leadership. Leadership has to leave aside laments and accusatory finger pointing 24/7.
All right, I'm going to take that to Rahul Mehra, the spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, who joins us tonight and is a lawyer himself. Rahul Mehra, the criticism from others on this panel and the Congress as well, as Dr. Singhvi was saying, you're feeding on an image. You're feeding on an image, and that people are looking to you now that you're in government for structural solutions which you're not giving. In a sense, he's saying that there's a lot of gimmickry going on with some of the things that are being done. Sankarshan Thakur says this is also an activist government, and politically that may go in your favor, the tactics that you're using. How do you respond to that criticism, Mr. Mehra?
Nidhi, one thing is very clear. People who talk about governance and leadership are the ones who are bereft of it. And we've seen it over the last 10 years. What is leadership? And isn't taking the people who have, who are just getting windfall gains for no rhyme or reason, simply because they are the topmost industrialists of India, are they entitled to loot the exchequer or public exchequer? Are they entitled to have windfall gains of 1.2 lakh crores in future and 54,000 crores annually? Are they entitled to a price rise? US price rise is less than $4 per MMBTU. But in India, we are told that even a 4.20 is not enough. It needs to be doubled to $8.40 per MMBTU. Why is it? Because there is a connivance of the politicians cutting across party lines, be it BJP, Congress, who are actually being fed into by the top, certain people who have vested interest. Now, questioning that obviously is very uncomfortable because this has never happened in India. You're opening a can of worms, and the opposition knew it very well, but they were silent. There's a conspiracy of silence on both ends. They need to answer. Why is it that a budget of, Manrega in India costs annually the public exchequer about 40,000 crores? This is even 20% more than that, 54,000 crores per annum, which can be saved and which can be used for millions of jobs.
Rahul, if I may
millions of
interrupt
people
you
can be fed in
briefly.
India.
You know, the other point though is that the Supreme Court is seized of this matter, and therefore what was the need for the Delhi government to go and announce these FIRs? Was it not a political motive then at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Not at all. Where is it, under which law or which provision does the state government who has been, who has come to the knowledge and there is a complaint, a criminal complaint, which discloses cognizable offence, where is it written that if a case is going on, and in that particular case also I'm told that a SIT has been sought in the PIL. Where is it mentioned that you can't go and lodge an FIR on a cognizable offence which has been committed within the jurisdiction of a particular state?
Okay,
obviously there was the lack of political will.
Okay.
Obviously, just a sec, obviously there was a lack of political will, and which is why most of the decisions which have been taken, Nidhi, have been taken, the increase in the gas price, most of the decisions have been taken in the National Capital Territory of Delhi. ACB has a concurrent jurisdiction and a concurrent power along with the CBI to investigate into all offences which come into its privy, provided these are offences which have been committed
Okay,
on
Abhishek Singhvi wants to respond to you on that point. Yes, Dr. Singhvi.
Nidhi, you, I think, in that last question have partly or largely hit the nail on the head. Let me explain to you why this appears to be much more of tokenism, symbolism and gimmickry than substance. As I said, I am not going to speak about the merits scrupulously because Harish Salve and I happen to be both counsel in the matter. There are two matters in the Supreme Court, one by Mr. Gurudas Dasgupta and one by Mr. Prashant Bhushan. Now, in both the matters, notice has been issued by the Supreme Court, no other orders have been passed, several dates have passed, dates have been given, pleadings have been filed, rebuttals are going on, etc., etc. Nothing concrete in terms of a stay order or a coercive order, etc., has been passed by the Supreme Court. Now, while that is going on, and that's principally between the petitioners, Mr. Gurudas Dasgupta and Mr. Prashant Bhushan, between the central government and between Reliance, along comes the state government of Delhi, which has no direct connection with the matter, except of course every citizen can claim connection. And while a PIL is on the same issues, while the Supreme Court chooses to pass no orders, the Delhi government proposes to do this, that and the other, including an FIR. Now, first of all, it is not directly concerned. Secondly, it doesn't go to the Supreme Court as the government, though one of its leaders, Mr. Prashant Bhushan, is the petitioner in person. And before waiting for any result, you do this additional thing. Of course, I am not arguing law. I agree with Mr. Rahul Mehra that the Supreme Court has not passed an order saying, thou shall not file an FIR. Of course not. But the point is, what is the point of this FIR? What is the point of a chief minister and a minister or somebody filing an FIR?
Okay, Rahul Mehra, and then
what is the direct locus? What is the direct grievance?
Yes, Rahul.
Nidhi, it is not the Chief Minister who has filed an FIR. It is a complaint which has come from 4 honourable citizens of India. One is a former Chief Secretary, one is a former Navy Chief, one is a former Secretary of the Government of India, and one happens to be a very eminent Supreme Court lawyer. Are we trying to say that all these 4 people have some motives? Are we trying to say that these are not honourable citizens? Are we trying to say that the allegations which have been levelled in these complaints are baseless? And if so, all that the government of Delhi is doing is expressing a political will which neither the government in the centre nor any of the other state governments have displayed. And all it is saying is, please have a fair and impartial probe into this entire scam of increase in gas prices. It is no rocket science that Manishankar Iyer and Mr. Jaipal Reddy, who were not towing the line of the RIL, Reliance Industries Limited, and the certain other interested parties in the central government were shown the door as the petroleum minister.
Okay, so
and
I want to take
Mr.
this to the
Veerappa Moily,
BJP.
the moment
Rahul,
he comes
just a
back,
second.
there is a penalty. Just one more point, Nidhi.
Yeah.
There is a penalty of $1 billion which was imposed on Reliance, and that penalty was set aside by Veerappa Veerappa, Moily. Jaipal Reddy issues a show
what you're
cause notice
saying about
based
the
on
merits of the case,
Rohit
Rahul
and
Mehra, are
Nariman,
very serious
and
issues, and that is something that is ongoing in the
but
Supreme
we must
Court.
debate that, Nidhi.
Yes, that is
merits
important.
of the issues must be debated.
Sheshadri
We
Chari.
can't negate the merits of the issues talk about political things out here.
No, but everything is linked at the end of the day, and I want to ask Sheshadri Chari then are the mainstream parties today, the BJP and the Congress in particular, in this unique situation where Arvind Kejriwal decides that he's the anti-corruption crusader. He's made an issue of the Lokpal, the Jan Lokpal, now this, and you all may not agree with many of the things and the way he's doing them, but you also can't be seen to be opposing his anti-corruption moves. You're in a very strange situation.
Basically, I don't think this is an anti-corruption move. Had it been an anti-corruption move, and had Mr. Arvind Kejriwal decided to go by what his manifesto has said, I would have appreciated it, number one. Number two, when the Supreme Court is already seized of this matter, and when the Government of India has put in place an energy policy, there are constraints for any government as far as the energy policy matters are concerned. And if there is a merit in arguing the pricing policy is concerned, then these arguments, these merits can be decided in a different forum. Arvind Kejriwal could have written to the Supreme Court to make him or his representative a party in the case. But the kind of acts that he is indulging in, making a bravado out of it, making a political issue out of it, trying to file a FIR, and tomorrow if the police says that this is not a criminal issue and we cannot file an FIR, he may go and offer a dharna in front of the Petroleum Ministry.
Mr. Chari, let me ask you that why didn't the BJP make this an issue? There is an allegation that the BJP has gone soft on this issue ever since it erupted. You had Guru Das Gupta, you had the CPI, which was very vocal on this. There is a very serious issue about this gas pricing being doubled. The fact that the cabinet itself was divided right down the middle on this issue, it's highly controversial. And we've been holding debates on it, but the BJP has been very muted as compared to say the left on this issue. Why?
No, please.
Is it because there's a big industrial house involved?
No, please correct your records. The BJP has intervened. It is very true that Gurudas Das Gupta has raised this issue. The BJP has raised this issue in Parliament. The BJP has raised this issue in the Energy Committee also of the Parliament. And these things are available in the records. Therefore, our issue is not the issue of raising this question, but what we are saying is the political methodology that this man is resorting to is highly objectionable, and this kind of hit and run activism will only hurt the industry and it will hurt the common people also.
Okay, let me take this to the commentators before I take this back to Rahul Mehra.
Things done through dialogue with the Government of India.
Okay, is it hit and run, Ashok, or in this case, there is a lot of eyebrows that have been raised on this particular case. There are a lot of questions and valid ones that have been asked on why this gas pricing issue played out the way that it did.
I still think legally targeting just two individual ministers perhaps may not get Mr. Kejriwal very far. Having said that, politically, as I said, he has captured a sort of a new left space which is inherently suspicious of the system within double quotes and the establishment, and he is positioning himself as someone who speaks the truth again within double quotes and takes on big business and a corrupt establishment, and to that end he will continue doing this till May and continue embarrassing the Congress.